I think he's very insightful. I think he's describing vulnerability not as a weakness,
Mm,
but as something that's inherent to genuine love, right? To real love, like you're saying.
mm,
And he's saying that that there's a consequence to rejecting vulnerability, and that is that it deadens the heart. Like you like you said, you can just put cement over your whole garden, and you're never going to have to worry about it again.
yeah.
But the whole thing's dead. Nothing's growing there. And so that I think that idea, in the context of Vedanta, its implications are huge. Like, in other words, as a bhakti yogi, I can look at other valid paths of yoga, particularly, let's say, jnana yoga, right? And let's just say the whole realm of monistic thought, where it's like the belief that God is not a person, but that there is just one energy, that I am that energy, and I realize that I am that energy, and then I exist eternally in a state of bliss without
Right.
anybody else in the picture. What to
Right.
speak of someone that I could be particularly vulnerable to, who's someone who's ontologically more powerful than me.
Right.
So, like, that is a very safe feeling, um, theology or ideology, or however you want to, however you want to, philosophy or whatever. This is what that I believe that there's an appeal to that because it feels safe. A lot of times people like categorize or characterize religious ideas, or the idea like monotheistic ideas, as being like that's for weak people, right?
Yeah.
You need your big daddy in the sky, and
Yeah.
but I think it's actually the other way around. I think that's the courageous, path, like being able to ontologically accept that there's something beyond me, greater than me, more powerful than me. Um, and I think there's a fear-based kind of tendency to go the other direction. There should be no vulnerability for me.
Mm,
But bhakti is so deep and so rich. It's when you get to the esoteric side of bhakti, you get this incredible, let's say, the esoteric part of Gaudiya bhakti, of the followers of Sri Chaitanya, and how they understand bhakti, and how it plays out in the Leela, and the teachings of Sri Chaitanya. The idea that Krishna himself, like the Supreme, who should seem invulnerable, right?
mm.
He's, what's the word, Ajita, right?
Ajit.
Unconquerable,
Yeah.
right? He seems like he should be entirely invulnerable. He's the absolute truth. He's that from which everything comes. But he voluntarily becomes vulnerable.
Mm.
As Krishna, as a little baby, he becomes vulnerable for the purpose of love.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Live from Super Soul Farm, this is Wisdom of the Sages, a daily spiritual podcast with your host, Raghunath, and co-host and senior educator at the Bhakti Center in New York City, Kaustubha Das. Today's Tuesday, June 24th. It's episode 1633. Welcome to the show, everybody. Welcome to Tuesday. Woo! It's summertime. Woo! I taught my 11-year-old how to use a tractor. Woo! He's mowing the lawn now. Woo! And Kaustubha's coming over tomorrow. Woo! And Raghunath Swami's coming over today. Woo! It's going to be a big day. We had our break. We had our 24-hour break, Mara and Bunky. And we're back in it today.
Okay.
Yeah. How are you?
Doing
Baking
good.
away in New York City?
It's hot. It is very hot. I went to the beach yesterday, so it cooled down a little bit.
Yeah. New
But
York City is,
it's hot.
because it's all stone or concrete. It just gets, it's like a pizza
Glass.
oven. and you are like a pizza.
I feel like I feel like a pizza that's like in the oven but not rising or like not, it's like it's just you're just in there and they're leaving you in there. They're not
Well,
taking you out.
well, you know what? I'm going to shoot you with a sprinkler and throw you in the pond, throw you in Queechee.
I would love to go to Queechee.
I got a stand-up paddle for you, man. You get on that thing. You could do stand-up paddle yoga. I could teach you remember when everyone was doing stand-up paddle yoga teacher training? That was like a thing for like a moment.
All right.
I'm certified in stand-up in something we just created, and I'm going to charge you to do it.
Yeah,
Anyway.
seems like a nice place, but it seems a little like two great things that don't go together.
Yeah. Just, I like stand-up paddles, though. You get to be out there, but you're always sort of like safe. You always got this thing floating around. You can jump in the water, and you can lay on it like you're laying in the sun. So, yeah. I'll put you on that stand-up paddle and just float you out in Queechee, come get you in a few hours later.
But going to that it's like a spa. It's like my what do they call it nowadays?
Happy spot? Your happy spot?
Well, not exactly that, but like my self-love.
Oh, give yourself a little
Self-care.
self-love.
Self-care.
Yeah. You need bodies of water.
It's good. It's good for the nervous system. All the screens and all of the stuff. You go there, you lie on that sand, you take in the sun, the breezes, and you go into that water. Very good for the nervous system, for the digestion.
There's a rope swing too. Very good for the nervous system and digestion.
Rope swing.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Keep that in mind.
Yeah, that's great. Okay. Well, anything else up, Miss Mara, with you?
Good morning. Well, we have Sage group registration for the
Oh, yeah,
next
that's a
group
big thing.
session. Yeah, it's going to start on Saturday, June 28th at 9 a.m. People can sign up, and that next session will run July 14th. It starts, and it runs for 8 weeks.
We're working diligently behind the scenes. There's a team. And we want to just provide more for the Sage group members,
Mhm.
I don't know how much I should go into it, but like we want to actually provide like another level of mentorship, like if you go through a Sage group and come out the other end, then like you're eligible to like get some more like one-on-one guidance and direction and so on.
But
And
you
how
have
much
to-
does you?
You have to survive the Sage group first.
It's not like survive, but it's just that if we put it out too broadly, it's like we can't facilitate it all. So we want to keep it to people that have shown a certain level of,
Acumen,
not
spiritual
necessarily acumen, but
Commitment.
like commitment, I suppose,
commitment. Okay.
involvement.
I like that.
Involvement. Yeah.
Is this an upselling thing going on here?
It's not an upselling thing, but it's something that we're also working on with the Bhakti Center with, trying to bring the
like
two
it.
together more,
I want you to sign up for your mentorship program, Kaustubha. What do you charge?
Do you?
What do you
sure?
charge?
Are you sure? All right. Yeah. So when does registration begin?
It begins on Saturday at 9 a.m. Eastern time.
And it's free.
It's free, and it's important that to do it early because you have more options. The earlier you do it, because it's about 40 or so small groups, but they fill up quick. So if there's a particular one that you want to get into,
Yeah.
quicker you are, the better, because it can fill up quick.
Yeah, or if there's a particular time or day,
That's
if you
also
don't have an open
important.
schedule. Yeah.
And then if at the end you find that there's nothing that quite suits your time of day or nothing available anymore that fits for you, then you let us know and we'll try to adjust it. Right. At the end, there's always a few people that couldn't quite fit in, and sometimes we make an adjustment, create a new group that could work, or make an exception and squeeze someone into a group that's already full. So don't give up. But the earlier you get in, the better.
Mm. All right. That's wonderful. All right, let's get into our nugget today. Miss Mary, you want to read it? Oh, it's from C.S. Lewis.
This is from C.S. Lewis from his Four Loves.
The Four Loves.
This is a big one.
Mhm.
The Four
like-
Loves. This sounds like it could be like a Jay Shetty book or something like that, right? The Four Loves.
Ray Kappa book, perhaps.
What do you know what the Four Loves are?
Well, there's many. It depends how you look at it. There's many different types of loves.
I suppose there are, but his Four Loves, as he was presenting them.
No, I don't. No.
Okay.
I have my own version of the Four Loves. Thank you.
I don't want to hear about those Four Loves. The love of peanut butter.
The love of food. Chocolate.
No, but
That breaks into subcategories: chocolate with caramel, chocolate with salt,
yeah, those are the different Russes,
chocolate with wafers.
sub Russes. But no, he wrote this book, The Four Loves. It was published in 1960, and it's one of his most introspective and philosophically rich books, Raghunath.
Hmm.
And explores the nature of love from a Christian perspective, breaking into four distinct categories based on the classical Greek terms. Number one, storge, which means affection or like family love.
Sure.
These are the different Russes, right? Two, philia, friendship, like Philadelphia, right?
Yeah.
Three, eros, romantic love.
Mm-hmm.
And four, agape, divine, selfless love. So this is the book originated as like a BBC radio broadcast, and but it was very popular. And so I believe what you're going to read now is from the agape, the divine, selfless love portion of that book.
He writes, there is no safe investment. To love at all is to be vulnerable. Love anything, and your heart will certainly be wrung and possibly be broken.
Whoa.
If you want to make sure of keeping it intact, you must give your heart to no one, not even an animal. Wrap it carefully round with hobbies and little luxuries. Avoid all entanglements. Lock it up safe in the casket or coffin of your selfishness.
Whoa.
But in that casket, safe, dark, motionless, airless, it will change. It will not be broken. It will become unbreakable, impenetrable, irredeemable. To love is to be vulnerable.
Okay, Raghunath.
This is lots for me personally to digest.
Okay.
We walk around trying to protect our hearts, trying not to feel too much, not to care too much, because getting hurt's real. Getting hurt's real. It's messy. But what Lewis is saying here is, if you really want love, there's no way around the risk. You can build walls, you can stay busy, you can keep everything on the surface level, but your heart will shrink, right? And the truth is, nothing alive stays untouched. So the question becomes, what are you willing what are you willing to open yourself up to? Like, love demands exposure. It's uncomfortable. But it's also where everything meaningful lives. And I think we all know deep down that avoiding love just to avoid pain isn't really safety anyway. It's sort of like a type of suffocation you're living in. I first remember when I was
Your
when I
first
got
love?
No, not my first love, because I don't think I even got love then.
All right.
At all. But when I first got married, I had my ex-wife had little children I had to raise, and that was
Right. That's
and so I was sort of very invested in those children, and then I was thinking, like, and I was going through this phase. Am I going to invest love in these children? Because at any minute, if something ever happened to her, the father could take these kids away, and I would never see them again. Do I want to really put myself in this predicament where I'm so vulnerable, where I can just, why invest in something that's going to go? So it's interesting. I think all the loving in this world, be it a pet, or be it your own children, or stepping up for your stepchildren, or a partner, there has to be some risk and some vulnerability to experience love. Just like you could take it even to a garden. You don't need a garden, but you actually get some love and some appreciation and some grounding. You could just cement the whole yard over. But there's reciprocation and love we get. But when we tie it in with bhakti, it becomes a less clingy love. It's a less manipulative love. It's a love that you're sort of freely giving, and you're learning that you're not loving to necessarily get love. You're loving for the sake of love. And that's sort of like what I've been experiencing through having kids, through having stepkids, through having animals, through having, romantic relationships. life is just meant to refine our love. Maybe when I was young, it was it was a much more selfish love. And so we use the word like it just has one meaning, but I think love is very, very nuanced with so many different shades. And I think we're working for this highest love, this prema bhakti, this love of God, which includes love of all living beings.
Hmm.
What do you get out of this?
I think he's very insightful. I think he's describing vulnerability not as a weakness,
Mm,
but as something that's inherent to genuine love, right? To real love, like you're saying.
mm,
And he's saying that that there's a consequence to rejecting vulnerability, and that is that it deadens the heart. Like you like you said, you can just put cement over your whole garden, and you're never going to have to worry about it again.
yeah.
But the whole thing's dead. Nothing's growing there. And so that I think that idea, in the context of Vedanta, its implications are huge. Like, in other words, as a bhakti yogi, I can look at other valid paths of yoga, particularly, let's say, jnana yoga, right? And let's just say the whole realm of monistic thought, where it's like the belief that God is not a person, but that there is just one energy, that I am that energy, and I realize that I am that energy, and then I exist eternally in a state of bliss without
Right.
anybody else in the picture. What to
Right.
speak of someone that I could be particularly vulnerable to, who's someone who's ontologically more powerful than me.
Right.
So, like, that is a very safe feeling, theology or ideology, or however you want to, philosophy or whatever. This is what that I believe that there's an appeal to that because it feels safe. A lot of times people like categorize or characterize religious ideas, or the idea like monotheistic ideas, as being like, that's for weak people, right? You need
Yeah.
your big daddy in the sky, and
Yeah.
but I think it's actually the other way around. I think that's the courageous path, like being able to ontologically accept that there's something beyond me, greater than me, more powerful than me. And I think there's a fear-based kind of tendency to go the other direction, that there should be no vulnerability for me.
Mm.
But bhakti is so deep and so rich. It's when you get to the esoteric side of bhakti, you get this incredible, let's say, the esoteric part of Gaudiya bhakti, of the followers of Sri Chaitanya, and how they understand bhakti, and how it plays out in the Leela and the teachings of Sri Chaitanya. The idea that Krishna himself, like the Supreme, who should seem invulnerable, right?
Mm.
He's, what's the word, Ajita, right? Unconquerable,
Yeah.
right? He seems like he should be entirely invulnerable. He's the absolute truth. He's that from which everything comes. But he voluntarily becomes vulnerable.
Mm.
As Krishna, as a little baby, he becomes vulnerable for the purpose of love. And as Sri Chaitanya, he adopts the mood of Radha, so that he can be vulnerable and feel the feelings that she feels. Because he knows that you can't feel those feelings without being vulnerable, right? In other words, that's consistent with what C.S. Lewis is saying here, that love involves vulnerability. And the most powerful, the most invulnerable becomes vulnerable for the sake of love. To me, you're really filling out the whole picture, the whole theological picture, the whole what's behind the world and why it works the way it does. Why are we chasing love? What is it in us that needs it? And what is the nature of love? Yeah, it involves vulnerability, and we need to become vulnerable. And then you get Sri Chaitanya, who's Krishna himself, and he only gives us 8 verses, right? And they're building and building in terms of their the depth that they're going into understanding what love is.
Mm.
And it ends with like the statement of complete vulnerability, right? The last verse of Sri Chaitanya's Shikshastakam is, I know no one but Krishna is my Lord,
Mm.
and he shall remain so. Even if he handles me roughly by his embrace, or makes me brokenhearted by not being present before me, he is completely free to do anything and everything, for he is always my worshipful Lord, unconditionally. That becomes like the ultimate. It can sound a bit much, but a parent loves a child like that in a sense, right? I love them no
Sure.
matter what, you know. And so I think that was I think it's a deep insight, and I think that insight, I don't know of anywhere where its implications play out or where it's expounded more thoroughly than in Gaudiya Vaishnavism.
You can't really equate the love of the material world with the love of the spiritual world.
Yeah.
But I do think like this is where it's going, to refine and refine and refine our love, because, well, okay, so I'm supposed to love, but we're all imperfect. You might be lucky and get a good girl or a good guy, but what happens if somebody betrays you? Then you got to feel this. If someone betrays you, breaks your heart, you know, how do you reconcile that? Or is that what we're supposed to do? Just be like always ready to be hurt? And I think of this world, there's going to be pain, but it's not training us to be. This wisdom is not training us to be lovers of this world.
Right.
It's meaning it's bringing us to a different type of higher love.
Right.
That truthfully, there's people in this world that are solid people, and a lot of people are flaky people. But whatever it is, we're all temporary beings on this world, and our real investment should be to God. That's the main repository for our flow of love. And probably, I'm still trying to come to terms with this now. Probably any pain I feel through my own personal feelings of I've been betrayed, or even I've hurt somebody, or I have some loss. It's probably because I'm not mature enough in understanding what love actually is. I'm still trying to fall in love with a material body, a material place, or a material thing. And there's some of those things are more gross than the other. You know, some are very sort of sattvic, and some are very tamasic things that we fall in love with. But it seems like this whole path of love is to bring us to this very, very high, refined type of love of this world.
Yeah, I think that's the whole purpose, right? And again, how it plays out, how it really gets. You really get this full exposition of it, this really thorough presentation of it in Srimad Bhagavatam, where we see this suffering of love, the consequences of being vulnerable in love. We'll see it in the gopis especially, but we're going to see it in all the residents of Vrindavan, and we're seeing it in what we're reading today, where there's Devaki. She's become the mother of Krishna. Right? She's got the love of a mother for Krishna, and it's causing her fear. Right? The gopis, they have the love of a romantic lover for Krishna. It's the deepest ecstasy that one could feel. But it causes them to enter into it. They have to become so vulnerable, and apparently they suffer so much. But the depth of this literature and the depth of those who explain it, they clarify that, yeah, from your material perspective, from your little perspective stuck through lifetimes of conditioning, playing around with lowercase love within the material realm, you don't understand what they're experiencing. But within that vulnerability, there's the deepest ecstasy. It's something very, very different, right? And so in the fulfillment of bhakti, what appears as the painful consequences of vulnerability are something very, very special. And it gives you, this just unlimited, kind of mine of rich kind of information about reality, about ourselves, about the world, and ultimately about love, which is the principle that makes it all keep going around, purpose of it all. What's the matter? What's the matter?
I think this was the impetus for my entire spiritual life, really. I mean, there's probably a lot of little different factors, and then there's one factor that just pushes you over the cliff. But just watching my father, get sick. My father, if you don't know, my father went into a coma for 3 years. So here's before he left his body. And it was such a confusing time of life. And to see my mother, faithfully go to the hospital every day, I was just like, is this the payoff for love?
Right.
Like the person that you've invested all your love with, that you built everything with, is now you just this is it. And then for no good reason, when you finally get to retire after working your entire life, growing up in the Depression, going to World War II, raising a bunch of family with nothing, this is the end game. And you get into this type of impersonalism where you're like, you know what? Nothing. I want nothing to do with love,
Right.
because love hurts. Love stinks. Love makes you cry.
Hurts.
Yeah. And you had to come full circle to realize, no, there is a type of vulnerability. We do get something even out of love in this world. We get something. There's an investment I get from loving, even if there's no return for that love. I'm actually getting something out of that.
Well, Raghu, it was Leonard Cohen who sang, "Love is not a victory march. It's a cold and it's a broken hallelujah." Right?
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. And I think
Hallelujah.
that, yes, you know it. And but I think that's it. Actually, we're meant to be broken, right?
Yeah.
Something's got to break. It's like you use cement. If you want a garden to grow with beautiful, fragrant flowers, you got to break through the hard ground first. You got to crack the ice. You got to.
I think there's one takeaway here, and that's Kaustubha needs a dog. Kaustubha needs a dog. That is the takeaway.
Why
I
do
think
you
it would
project
change
you? Why do you
you.
project it on me? Why?
Because you got no children. Your wife's in England. You got no pets over there. You got no garden. I
Well,
think
then
you need a dog. I think you need a little
well,
lap
if you're suggesting
dog.
that's breaking me, then maybe that breaking is exactly what I need. Maybe I don't need to try to cover it over with a furry creature to pet.
I think it'll help you.
Okay.
Hear the doctor's diagnosis.
Maybe I'll spend a little time with Gus.
I'm looking forward to Raghunath Swami petting Gus again, because Gus has been real. Look at him behind me. He's like out of it lately. Excited.
Oh,
He's
excited.
practically comatose himself.
Okay. But he's hearing the name Raghunath Swami. He's like, oh, he's coming back.
Yeah.
Do you think he can put it together?
No, not yet.
No.
When he sees Raghunath Swami touches his third eye. That's when everything will change.
All right.
Okay.
Let's get into it.
Ooh, Gus is 12 and a half, Dana K. Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam mudirayat. Before we start in the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances to the Supreme Lord Narayan, and to Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, to Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and to Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta prayeshu vadreshu nityam bhagavat sevaya bhagavati utamashloke bhaktir bhavati naishtiki, by regular attendance in class in the Bhagavatam and by rendering service to the pure devotees. All that is troublesome to the heart will become eradicated, and loving service to the Supreme Lord, who is praised with transcendental songs, will be established as an irrevocable fact. Om Jnana Timarandasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chakshurunmadatam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance, and my teachers are opening my eyes to the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my obeisances at their lotus feet.
I saw some people brought a dog to the beach yesterday, Raghunath. Like one of those little I don't know if it was a Chihuahua, but like a little one of the
Little
little
lap
dogs.
dog.
Yeah, and then they're bringing the whole family was there, and they're bringing it into the water. You know, like,
Yeah.
you're just a little bit, you know. And the dog was all
Yeah.
excited, and they were all excited.
Yeah.
Yeah,
At
there's a lot of Krishnas.
the beach.
Well,
I met a Krishna lady at the Ford dealership yesterday.
a Krishna lady.
Well, she was covered in tattoos. She was online. I was looking at her because she had tattoos and she had shorts. I was like, what the? Trying to see where she's at. I saw a little piece of Sanskrit on her ankle.
Okay.
And then I was like, everyone's got Sanskrit. And so I went outside.
enough.
It was like, this is the problem with this heat. It's like, it's 95 degrees. So I'm sitting outside on a bench, or you're inside and it's like 32 degrees. Just give me something neutral. So I just chose the heat. Took off my shirt, sat there waiting for my truck to get tuned up. And the tattoo lady came out and she goes, she had a biker twist to her. She didn't look really hardcore. And then she came up to me. She goes, Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
There you go.
I was like, Hare Krishna. And she had some black Tulsis on. I said, Hare Krishna, how are you? She said, oh, what's her name? It was like Jai Radhamadava or something like that. And she's like, I live in Brooklyn. I go to the temple. I go to the Bhakti Center. It's nice to see you. And then she left. Isn't that crazy?
All right, Bo.
Krishna's following you around.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna. Oh, but then something came up on my phone, and that's what I was laughing about. And it had to do with this, actually. And Mara's not going to like to hear this, so just cover your ears. But it was a true crime thing, and I had some time to kill.
Oh,
And I
he's
put
going.
it
Here
in,
we go.
And it was all about this. What do you do if you find out your son's a murderer?
This is a dark squirrel.
Well, I'm
Why
just
you're
saying,
going there.
I felt so bad for these parents. It's just
the
like
vulnerability
What do you do?
they
You've
entered into.
invested. You've given so much. You could tell the father was just like, "This is ridiculous." It looks like such nice parents. It didn't look like.
The not cleaning your bedroom was one thing, but this mass murder, this is just too much.
Anyway, the world of investing in love is fraught with all types of difficulties.
But don't harden yourself, Raghunath.
Yeah.
Spend a little time with Gus. Okay, what verse are we on?
Verse 28.
What chapter?
He had to 10, chapter 3, 28.
Okay, I think Devaki is still praying, right?
Chapter 3.
The mother of Krishna.
Chapter 3.
Just gave birth to him. There he is. But he's looking like Vishnu. He's got 4 arms.
Oh, my Lord, because you dispel all the fear of your devotees, I request you to save us and give us protection from the terrible fear of Kamsa.
I'm sorry, what verse are we on again? Say it again.
28.
28, okay.
My Lord, because you dispel all the fear of your devotees, yes, I request you to save us and give us protection from the terrible fear of Kamsa. Your form as Vishnu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is appreciated by yogis in meditation. Please make this form invisible to those who see with material eyes.
Okay. So she's here again, this is one of the esoteric facets of Krishna Bhakti, right? Is that a moment ago she was praying to Krishna. She's seeing him in the form of Vishnu, which is not the vulnerable little baby that we see, right? But it's like the all-powerful, all-pervasive Lord. But somehow, even that, she still has this kind of motherly concern, right? She was saying, you're everywhere, you are everything. But then this feeling in her of motherly concern started to rise. And motherly concern requires that you feel your child is vulnerable and you need to help, right? It's like that's part of what motherhood is. That's part of how the love, the rasa, the unique flavor of love is experienced in motherhood, is that I need to care for my child.
So here Krishna is giving back and forth these two visions, right? This
Yeah.
vision of like you're standing face to face with God. Like if you could imagine what that must be like. And you hear so many stories of saints or even Arjuna in the Bhagavad Gita, like, here is God. He's getting that realization this is God, and then a quick switch back. It's almost like, ever get those things in Cracker Jacks when you hold them one way, the guy shifts, he takes off his hat, puts it back on, takes off his hat, puts it back on, depending
Yes.
on how you
Seems like
twist it back and forth. So it's like, You're with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the origin of all the demigods, the creator of all the universe, the light of the sun and the moon, everything. And then you're with a little sweet little baby.
But
But
you're my
even
baby.
that's a darling little baby. And you have this motherly affection, but the motherly affection is all pervading and and is consuming all the universe and is an expansion of is time itself. It goes on and on like this.
Prabhupada explains her logic, which it is somewhat irrational, or we can call it transrational, right? It's like beyond rational thought. She's deep in this bhakti rasa. But he says that, because all the demons that had taken birth as kings in these powerful dynasties, they all hated Vishnu, right? They all hated Vishnu. They were out to wipe him out. And so here he is appearing as Vishnu. So she's thinking, oh no, if Kamsa comes and sees Vishnu, well, he's going to attempt to kill him immediately, which is kind of contradictory to everything she was just praying in the earlier verses of how you are the one, you are everywhere, you are this and that. So that's it's on the material level, it's irrational, but on the spiritual level, it's the manifestation of her love. And so she's saying, if you go back into a little boy, if you take the form of a little boy, well, maybe there's a chance he'll spare you because he won't realize that you're Vishnu. So now she's praying, please become a little boy again, or not even again, like he hasn't shown her that yet, but please take the form of a baby. Then maybe your life will be spared.
Okay, continuing on. Oh, Madhusudana, because of your appearance, I'm becoming more and more anxious in fear of Kamsa.
There's that vulnerability in love.
Therefore, please arrange for that sinful Kamsa to be unable to understand that you have taken birth from my womb.
All right. So that Vishnu has taken birth from her womb.
Right, because once he finds out that the Lord has taken birth, now everything is in action. The first domino has been hit.
Yeah, that's the target is put right on little baby Krishna. Yeah.
Now, oh my Lord, you are the all-pervading Supreme Personality of Godhead, and your transcendental forearm form, holding a conch, disc, club, and lotus, is unnatural for this world. Please withdraw this form and become just like a natural human child so that I may try to hide you somewhere. At the time of devastation, the entire cosmos, containing all created moving and non-moving entities, enters into your transcendental body and is held there without difficulty. But now...
You see, back and forth, right?
Yeah, she's going back. Right, she's going back and forth.
Yeah.
I mean, she's offering prayers like she's a demigod offering prayers, and also she is not an ordinary housewife. She is a divine, being from the celestial realm who's come to this earth for this Leela.
Right.
Suba, you're going to love coming here because I'm hearing the peacocks outside right now, and you feel like you're in Vrinda. It's such a pleasant sound, isn't it?
That sound is identified as Udipana, as sound that stimulates feelings for Krishna.
It is stimulating my feeling for Krishna. I feel stimulated all over.
Okay, read this verse again. Start again. At the time of devastation.
At the time of devastation, the entire cosmos, containing all created moving and non-moving entities, enters your transcendental body and is held there without difficulty. But now this transcendental form has taken birth from my womb. People will not be able to believe this, and I shall become an object of ridicule.
Okay, now,
the Supreme Personality of God replied.
One second.
Now Vishnu is going to speak to him.
Hold on one moment. In the Bhakti Vedanta purport here, Prabhupada, he says something interesting. He's speaking to her devotion and her fear, and how it's not an ordinary fear. Her vulnerability in transcendence is not like the vulnerability in the material realm. So he says, Bhakti, Bhagavan, and Bhakta do not belong to this material world. Right?
Bhakti, Bhagavan,
and
Bhakta.
They all got the Bha, right? Yeah. So Bhakti meaning divine love itself, Bhagavan, the object of divine love, and the Bhakta, the one who possesses the divine love. All three, and everything that's going on with them.
That's going to be my mantra of the day. Bhakti, Bhagavan, and Bhakta do not belong to this world.
he says, this is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 14:26, which is an interesting verse, right? Where this is the verse that comes towards the conclusion, almost the conclusion of the 14th chapter, which explained the three modes of material nature, that which keeps one trapped and bewildered and bound within the material world. And Arjuna says, how does one transcend that? And Krishna answers with this verse that says, one who engages in the spiritual activities of unalloyed devotional service, bhakti, immediately transcends the modes of material nature and is elevated to the spiritual platform. So bhakti itself, Bhagavan, and the bhakta, none of them belong to the material world. They're on another platform. And then he says, from the very beginning of one's transactions in bhakti, one is situated on the transcendental platform. That's a powerful statement itself. Let's come back to that. But he continues, Vasudeva and Devaki, therefore, being situated in a completely pure devotional state, are beyond this material world and are not subject to material fear. In the transcendental world, however, because of pure devotion, there's a similar conception of fear, which is due to intense love. So we experience fear, and we also experience fear connected to feelings of love in the material world, and they're unpleasant. And entering into that vulnerability to that type of fear can be a cause of our hardening ourselves. And what we're hearing here is that in bhakti, even when you begin the practice of bhakti, the vulnerability that you have is of another nature. It's of a spiritual nature. It has nothing to do with the material world. And in there you can experience this, he's kind of calling it intense love, right? It's not, it's something far deeper than we're experiencing here. But when we read that, when he said from the very beginning of one's transactions in bhakti, one is situated on the transcendental platform. That's an interesting statement. You know, it reminds me of the story where in the very earliest days of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, where anybody that got into it, except Bhakti Vedanta Swami, was brand new.
Yeah.
One of his new followers said, how many pure devotees are there in the world? Right. And have you heard this before?
No. Maybe. Let me hear what your answer is.
And his answer was, how many of there are us now in this new fledging, bhakti movement, ISKCON,
Right.
And he said, there's about 70 of us or something like that. I forget exactly what he said. And he said, then there are 70 pure devotees in the world. Because it may not be that we're entirely, that our entire mental conditioning has been overcome, but we've chosen to act on the spiritual platform. We've chosen to act on the platform of pure devotion, meaning I'm going to serve without asking for anything in return. I'm going to serve for the purpose of love and love only. And so from the very beginning of one's transactions in bhakti, one is situated on the transcendental platform, in one sense, right?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we tend to look at our path and bhakti in this lifetime, because we grew up like that. I want to go to heaven. I don't want to go to hell. Okay, you better do what's right before you die, because then you're going to go to hell if you don't make the right choices. I want to go to, but actually, our lives we have millions of lives, and so this bhakti path most likely started somewhere else, and it will most likely keep going. And this is where these verses that really catch people off guard, these apichat sudaracharo verses, even if one is a daracharo, which is meaning even one commits abominable activities, if they're on a path, you still have to back off and treat them as if they're on this path, because the path is a long path. Yeah. People want to say, well, how can that be? Shouldn't you call them out? Well, yeah. If you're running a society, like I run this farm, so if I see someone doing something abominable, you say, hey, you can't come here and do that stuff. It doesn't mean it doesn't mean that we don't learn to forgive and learn to love people. I mean, we minister to people in prison, but forgiveness is a big part of any spiritual tradition, period, because we've all got baggage we're working through. And the best we can do is offer people some information, some light. I mean, look at my own life. People have offered me light, truth, love, and still I reject it on a regular basis.
You reject my love, Raghunath. Accept it.
I accept yours.
Okay.
I need
In
you to
all its
accept mine.
forms.
I need you to accept mine.
In all its forms.
So life is a very long process, and we want to encourage everybody on the path wherever they're at. We're
Yeah.
never condemning to what someone has done. If we're in charge of a project or a home, and we have some responsibility within that regard, we can say, hey, listen, that type of behavior is not welcome here. But at the same time, we don't condemn. We believe that people can change. It's very beautiful. We believe in people that they can change. And when you cement someone to their habits of what they were or even what they've done, you've opted out of your out of your own spirituality, because forgiveness is so inherent in what we do. Forgiveness, tolerance, and love.
I think you understand the ways of love, Raghunath, very deeply.
Well, I'm here to help you. I was sent to help you. You just have to accept that love.
You're the love guru, perhaps?
Perhaps.
You got the mustache now.
Thank you.
I remember we had it was episode 1047.
Yeah.
So that was over or nearly 600 episodes ago.
Damn.
But it was the title of it was "It's Life's Illusions That I Recall. I Really Don't Know Life at All." And we analyzed that Joni Mitchell song. You remember
That
that one?
Clouds. I was just singing that to Henry the other day.
You see that?
Remember?
Connections.
I really
Raghunath.
don't know clouds. Good song.
Yeah, I think it was a really good episode. We just analyzed that song for the whole show, I think. But yeah, trying to understand what love really is really the purpose of our life here. It's really what we're meant to figure out. The sooner we get cued in on that, the better. We might embrace spirituality. We might embrace Vedanta even, and still not understand that the whole point was to understand what love is, and to become fully capable of pure love. That's what it's all aiming at. That's the confidential secret of Vedanta.
Thank you.
Thank you, Raghunath.
Thank you. Get a dog. Okay, continuing on. 7:51.
Maybe one of those hairless ones.
Hairless cat. Kaustubha and a hairless.
To the hairless
I can see
dogs.
Kaustubha walking around downtown with a Siamese cat on his shoulder.
Do they have hairless dogs?
Ish.
Huh?
They've got
Hairless fish?
hypoallergenic dogs, which are sort of hairless. Okay, Maturananda, Road Rage, go to AI, make Kaustubha walking down with the Kaustubha with the hairless cat on his shoulder, please. Okay, continue. Can we get serious, please?
Please.
Text 31. At the time of devastation,
just
text
read.
32. The Supreme Personality of Godhead replied. So here's God going to reply to Devaki.
Yeah, it's interesting. Now, he's the all-knowing, all-pervasive Vishnu, and he's got this mother that loves him, that's speaking somewhat like irrationally on the material level.
And he's going to call him mother. My
But
dear mother,
He's feeling the love, yeah.
best of the chaste.
Oh.
In your previous birth, right? He's going to reveal something. You think you're your mom? In the previous birth of Svayambhuva millennium.
So that's a long time ago.
Yeah.
You were
known as Prishni. And Vasudeva, who was the most pious Prajapati, right? Prajapati means like a, original progenitor of species. So Vasudeva, who was the most pious Prajapati, was named Sutapa.
Okay, Raghunath, it's getting interesting now. We're getting into past life regressions here.
Right? Yeah. These are not ordinary mother and father in Albuquerque and Scranton. These people were like very, very high beings, and they took this birth. When both of you were ordered by Lord Brahma to create progeny, right? They had a job.
Okay.
They had a job, and Brahma said, I want you to create
Progeny.
Children.
Fill up the universe with.
Fill up the universe with beings.
Yeah.
You first underwent severe austerities by controlling your senses. It's not just like random acts of like sex and have babies. No, there's like a specific way to call high evolved souls into the womb.
This is interesting, right? Yeah, both in terms of, child, like conceiving a child, but
Sure.
also in terms of any serious thing that we want to go about in life, any real deep, genuine offering, purpose that we have in life.
Set an intention,
Set
Kaustubha.
the
Set an intention
Maybe do a little austerity.
before you do anything. I mean, let's face it, sex can be extremely lustful. It could be, you can go into it with a degraded consciousness. You can go with just a passionate consciousness, or you can do it with a very pure conscience. I love this person, or I care about this person, or I want to make a baby with this person.
Yeah.
And I want to use this baby as an offering to God.
Yeah.
Eh?
You know, even just like in the most mundane way, like, you know, if you're at the foul line in a basketball game and you got to shoot a couple foul shots, you know, it's like you see they settle their mind first, right? Take a few deep breaths. They dribble that ball a couple times. They lift it up. They do a little of these fake kind of shots, like when they're waiting to get the ball back, you know, and try to like get them to get the focus, right? So in any important
It's
thing,
not just it's not just like baseball where you're like swinging the bat before, you know, on
They do
on
that too.
deck. No,
Yeah.
it's not.
What do
It's
you mean?
not. We're talking about refining your intention, man.
Well,
It's
I'm
not just
saying-
warming up.
Raghunath,
I'm talking about love here.
Raghunath.
You're trying to
hear me out.
equate it to basketball dribbling before the foul shot?
I wasn't equating it. That's why I proceeded by saying even in the most mundane sense, I wasn't equating the two, but I was comparing the two. Okay? That I was saying even in the most mundane thing, there's some focus that precedes the action.
All right.
So what to speak of in more important things?
Okay.
Okay? It's getting a little too hot there. Merrick, can you turn the fan up on it? It is not. How dare you compare?
The act of lovemaking.
All right. Let's hear what Krishna says. What's he saying?
When
okay,
you were
the previous
both ordered
birth.
by Lord Brahma to create progeny, you underwent severe austerities by controlling your senses. So they had really refined intention before they did this.
They sure did.
My dear father and mother, you endured rain, wind,
Whoa.
strong sun, scourging heat, and severe cold, suffering all sorts of inconvenience according to different seasons.
So they're like serious tapasvis. They're like sitting out there tolerating all this. Okay.
By practicing pranayama to control the air within the body through yoga, and by eating only air. What's for dinner? Yeah, you gonna come over? What can we made you a great meal, Kaustubha.
It's like pea soup. Is it
I
at
got
least
you-
humid out?
would you like a glass of refined sparkling air with your air soup? I got some air rotis for you too.
We're gonna give you a chapati, but just the air that's inside it.
Yeah. Would you like air butter on that, Kaustubha, or are you vegan?
All right. So they were
Thus-
serious yogis. They were like these tapasvi yogis, but with this concentration that, well, it'll be revealed what their focus was.
Yeah. I mean, this is yoga. We tend to think like I'm going to hot yoga or I'm going to a vinyas level 2, 3. This was yoga. You start to perform penance. You stop eating. You renounce things. You're fasting. That is why, for some higher connection, for that union. We know one facet of it, the physical things we're going through it, but this is the real yoga system happening here. But what was the intention? What is our intention when we go to a
What's the
yoga
intention
class?
behind it? That's important.
Our
to know.
attention behind a yoga class could be, I want to look sexier. I want to lose some weight. I want to lose some belly fat. I want to get rid of my lower back pain. You know, it's oftentimes focused on my body and on my ego. Oftentimes, not all
Not
the time,
always, not always.
oftentimes.
Okay.
Sometimes it can be focused, our yoga practice can be focused on, I want to take care of this body so I can continue giving with this body to God
Okay, different intention.
and humanity. So we're always asked in Bhakti Yoga, refine the intention. We're asked to do that when we eat something. Why am I eating? To shove stuff in my mouth, or am I honoring? Bhakti Yogas don't eat food, we honor food.
Okay.
Take note today when you get your bowl of air.
Thank you, Raghunath.
Okay.
Let's finish this verse.
Thus, you spent 12 by practicing
next one.
pranayama to control the air within the body through yoga, and by eating only air and dry leaves, not even sumptuous wet leaves,
Dry leaves.
dry leaves from the trees. You cleansed your mind from all dirty things. In this way, desiring a benediction from me, you worship me with peaceful minds. That's what we're missing in this society today. No one's got a peaceful mind.
Okay, let's pick up here tomorrow. Let's reread this tomorrow. Maybe with Raghunath Swami. Hey, you can be
Ooh,
over your
we're gonna
plate.
try to get Raghunath Swami on the show today or tomorrow. Tomorrow or the
Say,
next
Marsh,
day.
did you ever eat dried leaves?
I have.
Okay.
I have parsley.
Well,
and a
really
shaker.
dry.
You know, Italian blend. Right, those are dried leaves.
Yeah, Mara's
Dried
like,
basil. Dried basil.
they're not really dry.
Just dried leaves falling.
Maybe
from
like those kale
trees.
chips that you have.
Kale chips. Yes, that's where I go. I do a kale chip fast.
All right, ready for some takeaways?
Yes, Mara.
Koustubha, number 1, Koustubha needs a dog. 2, Koustubha needs a garden. 3,
Koustubha needs a cat.
Koustubha needs a couple kids, some
I think
twins.
Kastuba just needs a little space. Okay.
All right. There's no love without risk.
There's no love
Risk,
without
Koustubha, risk. I
Okay.
want you to just fork it and open your ears for these. I think they're all to you today. Next.
All right.
To love is to be vulnerable.
Okay.
Life is meant to refine our love.
All right. Okay.
Avoiding love to avoid pain is suffocation.
That's not gonna do.
I feel I do feel suffocated.
We're meant to be broken.
Oh, man.
Koustubha,
Mm.
ouch. We're meant
Pick it
to
up.
be broken. Who said that?
Break it up. I said that, but
Yeah.
it fits in with Leonard Cohen, right?
I get it. I get it.
Yeah.
Cold and broken hallelujah.
Bhakti, Bhagavan, and Bhakta do not belong to this world.
Yeah, you know, it is
Koustubha.
quite a lyric, you know, like in other words,
Hmm.
the world is meant to make us like I'm broken and but I'm opening up and saying hallelujah, like I needed to be broken, right? Thank
What's
you
this?
for breaking me.
What was that country song I'd always sing to you? Wasn't it something like that?
No, Raghunath, it was really superficial, cheesy.
Remember that
thing.
day I sang the new country song on the
You were
show?
the
Sang
new
it again
country.
after that because nobody liked it.
No one liked it. I got booed off the
Yeah, you got
message
the
board.
Raghunath, you gotta if you're gonna get into country, you gotta dial it back a few decades, okay?
Yeah.
You tell me to dial it back?
I'm telling you to
You're
dial
telling
it
me
back.
my mother managed Willie Nelson.
So dial it back then.
Dial it back to Willie.
Okay.
Choose to serve selflessly with love.
Okay.
Forgiveness, tolerance, and love are part of our spiritual path.
Oh, now you see, now Justine here said she thought that the broken meant that like the voice was broken, and I think it means both. I think it means both.
Deep insight, Stromboli. Thank you.
The voice was reflecting the heart.
Mm.
The whole point is to understand and become capable of pure love.
That's the point.
What's the intention behind our yoga practice?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
And
Kaustubha needs.
invest in love, even though love hurts.
and get a dog.
Remember that song, Love Hurts, Raghunath?
Love stinks.
No, that's a different one.
Jay Giles Band, something like that.
That was
Thanks everybody for joining us. And guess what? This is a community-supported podcast. Come on, guys! For the price of a macchiato, you can support Wisdom of the Sages. Go to wisdomofthesages.com. We really appreciate everybody that's doing it. Sometimes I don't say it enough, but I'm here to say it. Thank you for supporting us. This is how this whole thing happens. If you enjoy what you're getting out of here, go to wisdomofthesages.com and pledge monthly anything, and we appreciate it. Looking forward. Hopefully we get Raghunath Swami on the podcast tomorrow or the next day. We haven't asked him yet. What? We're hoping. If you think Kaustubha needs a dog, put it on the message board and tell him what type of dog he should get.
If I were to get a dog,
Just, it's okay. Oh, Sherry Yannick says,
I'm more of a dog person than a cat person, for sure. Although
did you see
cats
this
are
yet? The spotlight?
Yeah, I see.
Look at Road Rage is behind this.